Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our Little Italy of Los Angeles podcast. I am your host, Deborah Zara Cobelt, and please join me in welcoming Amy Riolo. Hi, Amy. How you doing?
Hi, Deborah. I'm great. Happy World Chef's Day. It's so great to be here with you.
That's right. And we're recording this. That's right. On World Chef's Day, which is so exciting. I love the kitchen behind you.
Thank you.
Um, and you do so much, Amy. I'm not even sure how the heck to introduce you. You are an award winning, best selling author. You, of course, are a chef, TV personality, and you know just about everything about the Mediterranean diet. In fact, you just wrote a book that I believe is coming out next week. Could you hold that up for us?
Correct. So this is my 10th book, and it's officially
Wow.
on Tuesday. It's called The Mediterranean Lifestyle for Dummies. It's part of the Dummies series, but I've
Mhm.
also written many other books on the Mediterranean diet.
Um, for those people who might not quite know, what exactly is the Mediterranean diet? A lot of people think of olive oil, but there's a lot more to it than just olives and olive oil. Would you please?
Sure. So, this is part of National Italian American Heritage Month, and Italy's got such a major role in the Mediterranean lifestyle and diet. So, I would like to give a shout out there, and then talk a little bit about the origin of the word. So, even the word diet itself comes from the Greek word dieta, which meant style of life. So, really lifestyle. And that's what we're talking about a lot. We focus in on food, but it's also our approach to life, our philosophy, eating with others, being communally aware and social, exercising. It doesn't have to be necessarily a gym, but literally like just getting physical exercise, being together, tradition. There's so much more to it than just what we eat. So I like to talk about both of those. But then, of course, what we eat is really important. What we eat and exercise are the two main aspects of the Mediterranean diet or lifestyle that we can affect on our own. And there's so many wonderful ways. And the traditional Italian diet does that for us, So it's really good to be when we think about authentic food and passing down recipes, it really sets us up for success in terms of being healthy as well.
Mm. Um, so that's a mouthful, if you will, that book, Mediterranean Diet for Dummies. What are you teaching us in the Mediterranean Diet for Dummies?
Well,
Obviously filled with recipes, but lots of history too, because you are pretty much a culinary historian as well.
correct. So this was the Mediterranean lifestyle for dummies. They do have the diet, but I wanted to really focus
Ah,
on the lifestyle with this book. So it has
right.
about 38 recipes. There are some recipes in here. My other Mediterranean diet books have recipes, but this one, for example, I'm giving people really simple, easy tips on how they can do things at home. So, like, this is a lexicon that I came up with, and it's the lexicon of the Mediterranean lifestyle. So, addition to olive oil, for E, I have extra virgin olive oil, but A is agriculture. B is bread and beauty. C is community and culture. So, like, these are all things that we have to think about if we want to be able to enjoy the lifestyle. Agriculture. Are we supporting a sustainable environment? Are we, supporting our local farmers? Are we buying as local as possible? Are we thinking about the soil? Bread and beauty. Bread is a big part of the Mediterranean diet, the Mediterranean lifestyle. And in America, people are so scared, but it's like, if you're eating things from a good wholesome grain, whether you're making it yourself, you're getting it from a bakery that uses a sourdough, it can be very helpful. Same thing with beauty. People don't talk about beauty. You're gorgeous, and you have a gorgeous setting behind you, and that subconscious effect of looking at things which are appealing to us really has an impact of our health. So the book even dives into that, and hydrotherapy, fresh air, nature, vitamin D, and I've got a lot of doctors kind of quotes, statistics, and different endorsements that are showing how these things can play a direct link into our health, not only to help us live longer, prevent diseases, but keep us happier in the meantime.
Gosh, as a lifestyle, though, right? We do things so differently than what's being done in Italy. To your point, so many people in America are terrified of bread. So they end up going gluten free. But it's very often the way we process our foods here in the US as opposed to the way it's made in Italy. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Exactly. So the quality of grains, the quality of the crops, and a lot of things we're using, a lot of our produce, unfortunately, is banned in the European Union and in Italy in
Mm.
particular. because it doesn't meet their standards because of what's been done to it. So that in and of itself is something. But if you're buying things from farmers markets or from organic markets or things that can be traced, that you know where they come from, a lot of the layman's terms is just to say, look at what your grandparents did or your great grandparents did. The way that they were eating, before things were really industrialized, that's the way we can be eating now. And whole grains are cheap, they're readily available, legumes are, and seasonal produce is too. So those are all the best the best kind of things to look at in terms of what we're eating. Italy, France, Spain, Morocco, Egypt, all the countries in North Africa, they have a little bit of an advantage in that they can get things readily available that are better for them and much more inexpensive price. So we have to do a little bit of work. So in the book, I give people secrets and I tell them, like, this is what you can do to get this on sale. This is how you can plan ahead because, you don't have a souk that already you're going to have somebody cutting up your herbs for you and kind of thing. So I know what happens in the Mediterranean from spending time there. And I give people like ways to do that in their lifestyle so that they can enjoy that here. And it's a little bit more work in the beginning, but it's worth it in terms of health, preventative medicine. And it can be fun activity too for people to get involved with,
You mentioned this is your 10th book. You've written books on diabetes. Tell me a little bit about that. Why the interest in diabetes is something that runs in your family? Is this something that you have noticed is predominantly something that's been happening in the US, more so, I believe, than in Italy? Talk to me about that, because I believe you can help a lot of people with your knowledge. Go ahead. What's that?
These are a few of the books that I've done on diabetes, so many.
Wow.
At one point, I was the spokesperson for the American Diabetes Association for the Quick Diabetic Recipes cookbook. My mom had diabetes growing up, and I was the family cook. So I had to learn how to take our Italian American recipes and other recipes that we loved and kind of translate them into a way that would fit into her nutritional requirements, but yet that we would also like. And later on, it became my career. But there were two factors, and this is why it's so important to me that you mentioned it, and I'm so happy that you had the insight to think about that. The first one is, the reason I got interested in this field to begin with is because when I went to Italy for the first time and I met our relatives in Calabria, I saw that everybody here had a twin over there, myself included. We all had someone who looked just like, did whatever, but we were born on different sides of the pond. But the major difference was all of my family in the United States had heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, you name it. And I thought that's just the way it was because that was our genes. But then I saw on the Italian side, they did not. They were living longer, they didn't have all these major illnesses, and they were healthier and happier, even though maybe they had less things at their disposal, less conveniences at their disposal, or maybe because of that. So it kind of got me on this idea, this passion, this mission. And I said, I have to be the person to kind of, number one, get out the idea that we're not doomed by our genes. We can take proactive choices to be healthful despite what nature gave us. That's my first thing. The second thing is, what is the lifestyle going on behind these foods? Because if we're eating the same foods and some people are healthy and some people aren't, there's got to be other factors. So I was really interested in the lifestyle and then making sure to bring forward the food as culture. Because one of the beautiful things I found was that Italian Americans have lost a lot of their culture in terms of language and different daily life things that we don't do that Italians do. But the food, especially the holiday food, usually stays the same. They're like little time capsules that connect us to our family abroad. So I wanted to make sure that those recipes got continued as well. So it became a whole new thing. And this was many years ago. It led to my new career. And the diabetes numbers, by the way, when I started, it was 1 in 11 American adults had either diabetes or pre-diabetes, which is horrible. I mean, it's a horrible number. That's like, a major alarm should be going off in everybody's home. Now it's 1 in 2. So half of adults has either diabetes or pre-diabetes, and it's not getting a lot of attention, and there's a lot of shame around it, a lot of guilt, a lot of stigma. So sometimes I'm on panels with doctors, like for the U.S. Endocrine Society and things like that, and people are very ashamed to say they have diabetes. Nobody cares if they say, "Oh, I'm celiac," or I have to have gluten-free. Nobody minds it. But if someone says that they have diabetes, the assumption is around the table that they're lazy, they're overweight, they don't want to, they don't care about what they're doing. And that's not true. There's so many factors that can be involved. So I would like just for everybody to be aware that, this is something that, you people in your family or you may have. It's something that we can surpass, but it's definitely something that we have to give attention to and look at the underlying factors and not judge anybody and just say, how can we be more healthful, period. And this was before the pandemic. We found out. Sorry.
Go ahead. I clearly haven't studied this, but could it be our lifestyle? We are always in a rush here. We all know that. And therefore, we're grabbing food that is processed, even if we think it's good for us. It might not be. Italians or people in the Mediterranean area didn't always have it easy either. They've certainly had their stresses, particularly as they were building up from a very difficult time. But yet we seem to have predominantly more of an issue with diabetes. Could that be a very, very large contributing factor, our lifestyle and also the processed foods that we consume a lot?
Definitely, Deborah. That's brilliant because you also hit upon the mentality. And I have to remind myself of this. I'm a little bit guilty, when I say I'm stressed or I don't have time. I think to myself, my great-grandmother had 18 children and she made pasta every day and washed her laundry by hand. Now, granted, I'm doing a lot, but I don't think I can compare to that. And so, if they didn't have processed foods back then, that wasn't an option. She had to eat healthy, real food, and that probably in turn gave her the stamina to lead the kind of life that she led. So it's wrapping everybody's idea around the idea of, yes, there is a little bit of effort in the beginning. And yes, there are things that you can buy. There's a whole lot of commercials on TV and on the radio and on social media platforms telling you that you deserve to have free time. And so, take this shortcut with your food. But I would tell you to take the shortcut anywhere else you want to in your life, but not in that area.
Not the food.
Right.
Very well said. If there's one tip or two that people can take away from this interview who have diabetes or family members, what is it that they should be doing or could be doing with their foods that they should watch out for?
Well, the first thing I would say, just to change the mentality and the psyche as you eat food, because there's a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of worry. I always hear people say, I'm on a diet, I can't even think about food. And it was like food is bad. But if we can just shift that, food is medicine. Food is good. Food is our friend. We wouldn't be here without food. We need food. And really to love it and embrace food, if we just look at it from that mentality before we talk about what we're eating, we'd be much better off. And the second thing would be companionship. So Epicurus, the Greek philosopher, said, choose who to eat and drink with before choosing something to eat and drink. Whether it's virtual like this or in person, we need to be in company while we eat. It helps our body digest it better. We absorb more nutrients. We eat less. So if we can do that, great. And the third thing is many fresh fruits and vegetables, local, seasonal as we can, the more produce. And I tell chefs, I work a lot with chefs on this, to plan the food, around what's in season, like this beautiful picture. And I was in Morocco in these pictures. And, by seeing what's in the market and saying, okay, beets are in season. What can I do with beets, and how many things can you do with beets or eggplant or whatever? These three things will really help.
I love those pictures from Morocco, and boy, do they not have some of the most beautiful, just even to look at their spices, right? As you're walking through their markets and the Medina there, right? It's such a stunning experience for anyone who hasn't been there. When we're able to travel again, please make your way over to Morocco. I found it to be beautiful, and they clearly also understand the value of this way of eating. You went to Yale. You're going to be doing a seminar, right, coming up in Yale. Tell me about. You went to Cornell. We'll talk about that in a minute. But tell me about what you're going to be. What's that?
Competition.
I know I'm getting my Ivy Leagues mixed up. But what are you going to be doing over in Yale? I believe that you've got something that you're going to be working on there with the people there.
So Monday is World Pasta Day. So we're having a conference on pasta, a panel discussion. I'm moderating with 3 chefs from around the world. And we're talking about ways that pasta is a cultural canvas between cultures, how people use noodles, how they use dough in terms of comfort, in terms of expression and their identities. So we're going to be doing that, and hopefully I'll be broadcasting live if the internet is with us. So if anybody can tune in and watch that as well. But I'm really excited. I've done things on television in the past. I think you can Google it on World Pasta Day and things like that. But to be able to do this at Yale, and they're actually going to cook the food. They're going to cook our recipes for the students in the food halls. Yale have hospitality is a wonderful program. And then we're going to break out into sections, and we're going to make pasta. So I'm going to make the pasta alla chitarra with the wooden guitar from Abruzzo. And we have a nonna who's going to make cavatelli, and we have a chef from North Africa who's going to make couscous, and we have a Filipino chef who's going to make noodles, Asian style noodles, and it should be really, really fun.
Oh, now. Can anyone access this information though after you're there? You know, because it would be great to get people from all sorts of communities to see what it is that you're doing.
Sure, yeah. So they can follow me, and I'll probably be broadcasting live, and also Yale Hospitality. They have an Instagram page and Facebook page and things like that, and they put all of their events up there.
Again, I mentioned earlier, you went to Cornell, and you are known as sort of the anthropologist or archaeologist of food. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you became so interested. Earlier in the interview, you said that you would often do a lot of the cooking in your family. You also mentioned that your grandmother with 18 children managed to get healthy food on the table. So tell me all the influences that you had to lead you up to this point in your life.
Oh, wow, Deborah, so many that I can't even mention, but I'll mention just my close family ones because they're
sure.
the ones. My maternal grandmother was a wonderful baker, my Nonna Angela, and she taught me all the traditional Christmas cookies, Easter breads, the baking kind of thing, and really how important that food is the background for the foundation of our community. This is in Icaria, Greece. So I lead culinary tours in Morocco, Greece, and Italy, and this is in the place we stay in Icaria. I was doing a Greek workshop, and actually my step-grandmother, my father's stepmother was Greek, and so I learned a lot about Greek cuisine from her. My father loved everything about history and anthropology, so we always used to watch National Geographic together. And back in those days, you know, it was the late 70s or early 80s, and we were watching TV, and he would say, you know, I wonder what they eat. They would always show these tribes or these different cultures, but they never showed the food. And I think it just planted a seed in my head that I had to find out and know why from my father. And so, like, before I even thought about this as a career, it was always in the back of my mind. I would wake up at 3 a.m. How come they eat this risotto here? And how come they eat, I mean, it's a matter of life and death. I had to know. And so in my books, especially like with my second book, I did so much research, Egyptology and history and things, that I became known for that as a culinary historian. And then I was working with National Geographic, and they would call me in right here in DC, whenever they had like a new exhibit, and I would work with the curator, and I would come up with like a culinary component to the exhibit. So when they would interview me, they would say, this is our culinary anthropologist, you know, Riolo, and that was National Geographic. And just to think, you know, I owe that all to my father. My mother catered and came from a larger family, so she always made really big quantity things. So she would sit me on the counter and it was really little, and we would roll meatballs or roll cookies, and that got me interested in that. And my father's father was a cook in the military, and so he would always invite me over to cook. He lived next door to us. He'd always invite me over to cook, but he would say, you know, we're going to make this, but we don't have the 3 main ingredients. What should we do? Because he was used to rations and he was used to hard times. And as a little kid growing up in the United States, you know, it seemed very weird and kind of cruel. But now, as someone who travels all over the world and cooks and has to, you know, do all kinds of crazy things, it's the best. It was the best training ever, because I don't get scared if they don't have the same right brand of X or the same type of whatever. I'm used to cooking and making changes and substitutions and things like that. So everybody, my whole family played a part.
You've appeared on so many TV shows here in, of course, the States, on network television. You give talks and lectures. And as you said, I believe that you work over at a cruise line, right? And you give lectures there. What do you love doing best? I mean, clearly bringing the culture of food into everyone's lives, right? Because we can find you everywhere. And I believe that's because you want everyone to sort of understand the rich history of food and health and fun, right?
Exactly. And to be able to enjoy that, you know, probably more than a lot of other groups, Italian Americans really take so much pride in food and in our family and in our connection and in our memories and that magic. And, you know, it's like when you sit down to a wonderful plate of pasta and, you know, that's been homemade by love, and it takes you back to a memory of your grandmother or your aunt or something. And there's no better thing than in that moment to taste that and to have that experience. You'd rather be nowhere else. I want to give everybody that, whether it's the idea that it's possible, or to be able to create the food so that they can create that, or just to know that food is that important, and you can have that role, because it's like magic, just with a little bit of flour and a little bit of water, maybe some eggs if you're lucky, you can really create something that's amazing, and bring happiness to people. And so that's what I like.
What do you like cooking best? Do you have a favorite? What do you enjoy?
My number one would be bread, and my number two would be pasta. And after that, it would probably be cookies and other sweets. But I really love bread and this idea, because you can get a lot of good food everywhere nowadays. But you mentioned in the beginning, it's hard to get good bread, and there's nothing more satisfying, whether you're 2 years old or 200, to put those ingredients together, let it, watch it rise, bake it, smell that aroma, and then break into this beautiful bread and share it with people. To me, it's everything, and so I love the bread.
And it's easy to do, people. It's not so difficult. It's one of the easiest things you can make. Okay, a little bit messy, but so what? Put down your wax paper and just sort of make it that way. It's really not hard at all. Now, you know what I love is to dunk my bread in olive oil. I know you also have products, right? Your own products. Could you tell us a little bit of that?
You're so professional. It's such an amazing segue. So yes, I have I have three products. This first one is olive oil. So this one is available at D'Italia. It's DITALIA.com. Anybody interested in any of my products, put Amy Riolo 10 in the discount code. You can get 10% off. And this is an olive oil, single estate olive oil from Abruzzo. It's a blend of two different cultivars, the Gentile di Chieti and the Intosso, which are only found in Abruzzo. Very low acidity, about a 0.2%. Very high quality. You can get last year's harvest right now. They're currently harvesting right now for the next year. I also have a white balsamic vinegar from the Castelli producers in northern Italy. They're a very famous acetai or company that makes vinegar, and they call it white balsamic because with the regular balsamic, it's made from different grapes like Lambrusco and the Trebbiano and things. This is white because it's only made with the Trebbiano grape. So they isolated that. It's sweet. There's no sugar in it, no caramel. It's just naturally sweet from the aging. It's great for finishing on not only salads, but also like on fish or chicken. Anytime you need a little bit of a oomph. And so that's a wonderful product. And then I have a red pesto. This is a red sun-dried tomato pesto from the Anfosso company in Liguria, which has a DOP Genovese basil in it, and sun-dried tomatoes, a little bit of grano cheese, some pine nuts, and the olive oil from Anfosso, who makes wonderful olive oil in the Liguria region. And they're all available at Italia. And I also have a gift box right behind me in the, like where my finger is, there's a gift box from Italia. It's a seven gift box. People can order that. It's free shipping. It's called the Amy Riolo Italian Primi Essentials. So it's everything you need to make first courses, whether you want to make spaghetti, gnocchi, pizza, different things. It's got all your main ingredients and 4 other products plus my 3 products in there.
That is very exciting. That's something that I personally would love to order because I want to sample your products, and I also want to sample the way you do what you do. Because you also make it easy for people. Unfortunately, personally, I'm not America's or Italy's greatest cook. It sort of escaped me and went over me. I was always sort of running around the kitchen as opposed to helping cook in the kitchen. So I grew up to be an adult.
You were getting the scoop behind the recipes, probably.
Oh, there's no doubt. But now I have such an interest in carrying that on. And most of my family, they really are wonderful cooks. And anything I can pick up, that's great. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are like me that could really probably benefit from something like that. So gosh, Amy, it's been wonderful talking to you. Anything else you'd like to add? You're just lovely.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it so much. Just, if anybody, we're going to be having a contest. This comes out on Tuesday. So there will be a contest and a press release coming out on Twitter. People can participate, and we're going to give a box away every week, a book in a box. Month, so that should be fun. And I hope that they can follow and join along. And if anybody has any questions, you can always reach out on social media.
Right. And I know that you just answered just about everyone, which is wonderful. Final question before you go. How will you be spending the holidays?
Good question. Not sure.
Ah,
I still haven't made it back to Italy. I was supposed to go this summer, but my book deadlines keep extending and extending. I keep writing more books. So at some point, I've got to get that over there. That might be what I do. Otherwise, I'll be with my family, my parents, my little brother here in the United States.
yeah. Well, thanks so much, Amy Riolo. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find Amy, her products, and everything on just about all social media platforms, including your website, right? We can order from your website and any TV appearances where we can catch you coming
Oh,
up.
I almost forgot. November 1st, I'll be on Good Morning Washington. It's going to be National Authors Day. So I'm not sure what I'll be cooking up yet. If anybody has any requests, let me know, but it'll be something from the new book.
Oh,
November 1st, Good Morning Washington, which is now nationally syndicated, I believe, so everybody should be able to live stream it.
absolutely wonderful. Amy Riolo, a pleasure. And everybody, thank you for joining us on our Little Italy of LA podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you join us. And you can find us on all of our video and audio platforms. I'm your host, Deborah Zara Cobelt, and thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.